Parkour.
Okay, so welcome to Between Two Walls. We have two guests today, or I have two guests today. Please tell us where we are and who are you.
Okay, so we are in Italy, if I'm not wrong, and we are in my house. My name is Marcello Palozzo. I'm from here, Padova, Italy, close to Venice. And yes, we've just finished some classes and some eating, and we are about to start talking about the mysteries of the galaxy and everything.
Yeah, nice.
Maybe.
And who are you?
I'm Giulio. I'm from Cologne, and we came here together to visit the Palozzo brothers, exactly.
Brothers, yeah.
And train together and have some exchange, and we've done this before.
Yeah.
It's not the first time.
It's not the first time.
Yeah, it's not
to explore
that's
the mysteries.
But we can fake it.
No.
Maybe it's no.
What I like to ask at first is like, when did we meet the first time? Do you remember?
This is a very tough question. We were talking about this before, and I am not sure 100%. Like whenever.
So I know when I met you first.
Really?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, well, but this is obvious because when I came here 2 years ago,
yes.
On our Eastern trip, I brought Philipp. Yeah,
like 2 years ago, like
okay.
And I know where we met, like on this training spot where we did this.
Okay, the lateral.
Yeah.
Arm jump.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, but I don't know where I met you, Giulio. I can't remember. It's because we're living in the same city, and
I'm not sure 100%. Anyway, maybe we met in London at the rendezvous, or maybe we met at Jungle Wave Camp, an event we are organizing here in Italy with ParkourWave.
Yeah, I would like to talk later about this event, but
okay, yeah. No, but yes, actually, I have no idea. But as usual, when you meet up with other practitioners, once you met them once or twice, then it feels like you've known them for like ages.
I really felt it so many times. Like you have an emotional bonding. You know, you kind of know them. You have a trust feeling for them, but you don't know anything about them. You know, like, mostly you know the name, but I didn't know like what kind of education did they have, or what kind of phase in life they're in. But I know, okay, he can jump this, and we have some trust, and
actually, and this it's super nice because it develops like what Andy Day calls like the parkour passport. It's for me, it's a great concept, a great.
What is the parkour passport?
Parkour passport is actually once you have met enough people, or you are into the community of parkour, then you can just travel and just ring somebody you have no idea.
Definitely.
Of
now I know what you mean, the parkour passport. Yeah.
Parkour passport.
So you can travel the world, and you will always find.
It's the best password. Maybe just climbers have like similar communities, but I feel this is a super strong thing in.
I really don't see it in skateboarding or in surfing. Yeah. I think it grew too much, and Do you think we will lose this parkour passport somewhen? Do you think the passport is gone somewhen?
It's very hard to tell now. I think the root of this will stay anyway. Yes, it is changing, and it will change more and more, but I don't think this like basic layer will go. We will stand beyond like the economical or the politics power of this and that, and we can see this in these days that are like not easy days for this, because like people want to to create more organized stuff and create events and like people. I don't want to start this, but competitions and this and that and and this of course will try and strip away a lot of this basic layer we're talking about, but in the end I'm not so scared anymore, because like things are evolving, but I see this like the community of practice stay the same, as even if the practice is like changing, evolving, sometimes.
All the time, yes. But
going back.
I don't know, maybe it was the same with surfing or with skating in the beginning, but then somewhere there was a changing point, you know? And because for me, if I talk for myself, if I see somebody wearing some tracer pants, you know, I just talk to them, hey, do you do parkour? Hey, me too. So
of course.
But you know, if a skater is going to come to another city and then, hey, do you skate as well? Yeah, fuck off now.
Yeah,
know?
I think it might also be related to the fact that we have zero equipment training kind of thing, and so maybe it's even easier to relate to like straight away without.
I think
the
mindset,
you know what I mean?
the mindset
like,
is also really important.
Yeah.
In the end.
I mean, yeah, sure.
I think there's a really strong mindset of being open, and in the end, there's always someone to relate to. What an interesting difference is might be the age. So there are many
the age. Yeah.
The many young kids training parkour maybe can't relate that much to, let's say, the older guys,
you think
older
so?
generations. Or the other way around, definitely, absolutely. I mean, it doesn't. I'm not saying that it doesn't work. It will definitely work. I had a bunch of people from south of Germany visiting my place, and they were really young. That's no problem. But I think it's more. It's a different sphere somehow. It's a different I don't know, generation maybe of younger traces coming now.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I want to. I have some questions in the beginning. I always like to ask, like, we're talking about parkour here mainly. So what is parkour for you? What is parkour?
Okay.
And so, just what is parkour for you?
For me, like parkour, it's a mindset and approach that we have of like constantly.
Sorry, I didn't get you. A mindset and
a mindset and an approach.
An approach. Okay. Yeah.
That we have to training and to life in general, and but without like making it too abstract. It's still a methodology of training that is based upon I'd say dedication and discipline, and also
joy maybe.
of course, but like it's really related to the things that I said, and also to the exploration, the relationship that we have between people and the environment, and this, and of course, like one thing that many times people skip to say nowadays is that it's still a powerful natural movement method and tool to develop ourselves, our physiques, and our minds as athletes and as persons, and that can be strong in their lives in general. And it's not so much related to just of course, like just the physical, like the development of the physicality.
The movement thing. It's like it's not the it's just the top layer maybe. But there's something below, because you said like it's development. It's some
it's basically it's a constant growth and interrelation between individuals and.
And how did your journey start? So how did you get into parkour?
Yeah, like my journey started as many people. It was very naive and funny. So I just watched the video on YouTube. I think it was Speed Airman.
Yeah, Speed Airman.
Yes, I think so. Speed Airman.
Is there one scene what you really what catch your eye, or?
I think it was like. If I'm not wrong, if it's in that video when David is doing the tic tac on the Damdulak, and I was like, okay, I need to go out and try this. I mean, I have no idea of what I'm doing, but I really want to try.
When was it?
When was it?
When did you see it?
2006.
Yeah.
But yes, and then I went out and jump, and I started like hurting my back a little bit. So I yes, of course, like everybody, like it was super fun.
In the beginning, we all did. I did it as well, and I heard many people did the drops in the beginning, and
yes, and this was like in October, like this end of 2006, but then so I regressed because I hurt my back, etc. So basically my trainings were random.
Yeah.
And
How old have you been back then?
I was 15. Yes,
15.
I was 15. And then I started actually practicing a little bit more in 2007.
Okay.
That's the moment where I started, because like before that it was really madness, and there was nothing behind it.
Yeah, and a lot to discover, I think. Like.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sorry. I wouldn't say it was just madness.
Yeah.
It's super interesting as a process as well. A lot of things has changed back then, and I wouldn't be what I am today without this.
Yeah.
So when I see kids like growing in that way, I don't want to stop too much.
Yeah.
Them practicing what they're doing.
Yeah, you don't want to stop them. You want to let them evolve. Do I understand you right? Or
yeah, I want them to do their mistakes.
I
wouldn't say I want them to get injured, of course, but like minor injuries, like these will all be like informations and stuff that they need to experience before they can move on. It's like
that's really.
I wouldn't stop. Just one more thing.
Yeah,
Sorry,
please,
like I wouldn't. If I will have a kid or whatever, I wouldn't stop him the first time he will touch the fire. I want him to get burned
and then learn.
Yeah, because nothing's gonna happen. Like it will hurt for a couple of days. And then
that's really what I observed myself. Like when I met you and I visited you on some workshops. You know, like the jungle camp. We last year drove there together, and for me, like. I really see that you do a really. I think you really like to have a really free parkour and let people discover themselves. I will talk later about this, but I'll have a concrete question. But first of all, if I tell people, I know these guys from ParkourWave, like ParkourWave, maybe you can tell later what ParkourWave is, but I think I always say, these ParkourWave guys, they do parkour. But they mix different stuff, and they are kind of avant-garde in parkour. Yeah,
okay.
Can you relate something to this?
Okay, so
do you feel like you're like avant-garde and?
Yeah, so if you've seen, I will start from like the egg, and I will get to the chicken. So basically, if you look at my blog now, what I'm writing these days, I've called it the animal scholar, and this is because like I always.
What does scholar mean?
Scholar is like scientist, academic.
Okay.
Yes.
Scholar. Okay.
Scholar.
Yeah.
Okay. So because I always felt I had this double soul inside me of like the person that really wants to dig deep research into what he's doing, but at the same time like I really value the more qualitative and instinctual part of training and developing. Like, you know, we are animals and we can feel that we are animals. Like, and I don't think this should be underrated. Okay, so
the animal inside of you.
The animal inside us. And a lot of people take this like animal part to the 100% of their practice, but they never work on the other one. Okay, so
do you have someone in mind or some?
No, I just see it's just a lot of practitioners. They just, and I understand why they do it.
They have this fire. Do you see?
They have this fire, and they go out and they just follow what they feel like. Now today I want to train this, and I want to. And how it started as well, like now we do a lot of repetitions. I want to do this, and I want to do that. I want to explore. I want to,
exploration.
Actually, you want to do all this stuff.
And you add something or you do.
But
something?
yes, but I noticed, like on the other side, there was another side of the coin that it was completely dark. Nobody is ever talking about this or experimenting about this. And the only people that do this, they do such a mess without like, it's they create something that is very very distant to parkour anyway. So like they go from lifting. The perfect overhead press with the perfect lines in what they're doing and developing their perfect strength. I don't know, in sports science, this and that, or even I don't know, they integrate dance, contemporary dance, for example, in parkour, but without like re-elaborating it and like they get out of this like into this other field where you can research more and more. But they just they just don't dig enough into it as they did with the instinctual and animal part. So what I'm trying to do myself is to try and blend these two approaches together. So as you were saying, like the more like avant-garde and the more instinctual. So in the avant-garde, as you were calling it, I would put in there like, you know, my studies under university. I'm studying now the Master of Science in Strength and Conditioning, and but also the workshops that I did, in contemporary dance or a little martial arts and other stuff that I'm sometimes integrating.
Or Ido Portal,
Ido Portal,
like
Ido Portal Method. Definitely, it was a big thing. Also, in balancing with Yuval. It was like I'm building up a lot of different stuff. And
like I know you a little bit, and I see on your wall in the living room you're kind of a structured guy, or you like structure.
That one is Gatto's work, and it was like a beginning of what we call like the wave mind. It's a lot of mind maps that came together, and we created like a kind of melting pot of all the ideas and stuff that we can use to move on. But anyway, just to get back to the original question. So I started from far. Yes, I started from far away because I wanted to give you an idea, a perspective of what I'm doing now, because a lot of people are like, this guy, so what the hell? Okay, so and I try to explain this a little bit better in my workshops. So I'm trying to actually keep the root the same, but the surface is constantly like reshaping and changing, etc. And once some of these ideas, concepts are consolidated and they are valid, they get dragged in and we move on. But because it's like I've heard that maybe Ido was talking about this, like the old dog like running around his tail and always staying where he was like 10 years ago. Even Yamakasi and everybody, they were changing things.
Yeah, of course, they have to. Yeah.
But they have to. Like when I was talking with Jan, he's always saying like every one of us has a piece of this now, and it's something that it clicked in my mind. Like some years ago, when I first met him, he told me this, and I was like, yes, I feel like this, and I want to try and pass this on to my students and this, and that they can develop their own thing. And at the same time, keep what has been done, because like the community of practice, it's like a flux.
So you said so many things now, and I really would like to talk a lot with you about your coaching approach. Like you said, the root of parkour, you want to keep it, and then gather other stuff. What's for you the root of parkour then?
Yeah, for me, like the root of parkour is, as we said before, like the capacity to be resilient, the capacity to develop a certain discipline that goes through like very easy, well, not easy, like simple techniques, and that needs to be like repeated over and over and over again in order for you to master your movement like 100%.
Yeah.
So that's the very basic part. Like, can you climb a wall? Yes. Can you jump down a wall? Yes. Can I lift people? Can I bring them around? Can I do this and that? So the very basic. And of course, as you develop this, you have to make sure you are developing like a strong capacity to work on your weaknesses. Yeah. And to move on from that. But it's nothing too amazing. Like we can talk about this forever, but like of course, like it's a big question. Like what is the root? The core of parkour. Yeah. But for me, it's whenever I see people that in a complete autonomy, they choose to work on their weaknesses. They choose to move on from the state where they are at. And they start exploring the environment. They use other eyes to look at what surrounds them, and they train hard to get where they want to get. Yeah. This is
I think there is not the route of parkour. At least I cannot tell it, because your route is maybe different, or your route of parkour is different, or Yamakasi route is different. So kind of everyone has to go his own way. But for you found a way of coaching. Like when we visited your Jungle Wave camp, it was my first experience. Like when I saw you coaching, or you coached me, you teach me, and I first of all I can recommend everyone like go to this Jungle Wave camp. It's an awesome weekend in the wilderness, and where is it? Where is it?
It's in Valbondione, it's close to Bergamo.
Yeah, in the northern part of Italy.
Yeah,
it's really beautiful. For me, what was really like changing my perspective of coaching was like usually the coach is in the center of teaching, and when I saw you teaching, or your like Gato and all the other friends, it was not them teaching. For me, they let the method teaching. So so you know, like I wrote it down and I just read it again. Like some kind, like if Danny Ilebaka would be there, he it would not like he like he's so visible. Like because the method speaks for itself. And he's just a part, and he could learn because the method is so good, and not his skill level. Do you understand a little bit what I mean? And so, what's your goal in coaching? If you coach people parkour, I have an answer for myself.
I have this like 100%. Like our main goal is
your main goal. What is it?
Develop autonomy.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Because it's the same with me. It's absolutely the same with me. Okay.
Yeah, because like. We have done a lot of researches about coaching. Gato did as well.
It's really awesome.
I wrote my Bachelor thesis.
Yeah.
Something weird is happening. I wrote my Bachelor thesis about this, and basically a coach should be a facilitator, and it should not. Like take a glass of like an empty glass and take knowledge and pour the knowledge in the glass and fill it up. Yeah. But it needs to take the glass that is already full and reorganize. Yeah. You know. Yeah. And then let the tools. I think I heard this one from Gato, and it for me it was a perfect explanation, because after you leave the guy the tools to reorganize, you know, the stuff. Yeah. On his own, because we don't like, you know, we all read a lot of Zen, this and that, but it's impossible to go with the empty cup. Yeah, I will never believe somebody can reach that level of enlightenment today that they can empty the cup entirely. So why faking it? Like, we know everybody has their cups that are already all full, so just you take it and you reorganize. And actually,
that's really nice to hear. I really it's pretty the same what's my goal of when I coach people. Like for me, autonomy is the main goal. Like some people say they want to make their students stronger or maybe move better. For me, I told this to a friend in Berlin, and I asked them, what's your goal with your students? And no, he asked me what's. And I didn't say I don't want them to get stronger, and he laughed at me. You know, like, you don't want them to get stronger? No, I don't want to get them stronger. Maybe in some way, but I want them to discover themselves, and maybe then find a way to like this intrinsic motivation. Like, you know, if
the motivation is extrinsic,
they can go miles without me. You know, like I don't want
intrinsic. Yes.
I don't want to make people addicted to my training. Yeah. So I want to. They have to feel this power and fulfill, you know, their own dreams. Yeah. And it's for me, it's only going on this autonomy way where they go freely and do find their own way. It's for me the only way.
Yes, like, but I don't want this to be like considered by many like a starting point, because for me, as we were saying, it's an end point. Let's not forget about this. Like sometimes you have to make the students like stronger and better, and give them even like just an accumulation of techniques. Sometimes even if I believe like parkour is nothing but it's not an accumulation of techniques and this and that, and then find the right tool to like grab this and take them into like a kind of an inner circle where they want to listen a little bit more, and once they can listen a little bit more, then you give them everything they want to hear, and then you really let them go and develop their own practice and strive for their autonomy. Because like if you can do this faster, it's great, but in my experience this has never been an easy thing, you know, like. But anyway, just this I really recommend the work of what's the name, Ashworth, and Ashworth, yeah. I don't remember the other the other one. I will tell you in a second. And they developed Ashworth, I don't remember, anyway. They developed a lot of styles in teaching and coaching, and you can go through them, and they go from like a more like command kind of approach, authority. From an authority kind of approach, from authoritarian, and then they move back into like a free practice, you know. So, and Moston and Ashworth. I did my thesis on them, and it was very helpful, because then I started practicing a little bit of like, okay, so now I do my stuff and you follow, and then you make stations, or for example then you move on into just giving them riddles that they need to solve, or you give them
it's a different approach.
Every time you move on into like some kind of a guided discovery, and this is for me the best way to coach, but it's still the hardest, because if I need to guide you towards like very hard stuff, and it means I need to have in my mind extremely clarity, you know, because sometimes I can see people that try to do this, and then they get dragged away, and you know, like, well, we started working, I don't know, on adaptability, and now we are working on readiness, and they are like, yes, I wanted to work on readiness, but you can see behind the scenes he wanted to work on adaptability and just was dragged away.
And because today we both were at your training with your classes, or in one of your classes, and I really enjoyed it, because you made a lot of free spaces which I could fill, you know, like I could fill it the way I wanted. Like today we did the last exercises. It was about repetition, and we had like to do 100 jumps. We had 45 minutes, or not jumps, but basic movements. Like, and but you didn't say like, okay, we do precision jumps, or we do those jumps, these jumps, and I like this kind of training, because it's not like a drill sergeant. Okay, now we do this. You know, I don't like to put out my brain and then do stuff, unless I choose to.
Yeah, of course.
And so you let myself a lot of free space, and then I can choose. And you said, okay, now you can discover for 5 minutes, find a place and make your mind up, and what do you want to do. And I really like this, because then what do I want? You know, it's one of the basic questions. What do I want? And then I think this is the way this is one approach, in my opinion, what works really well. And even in the other parts of the training, like we did this jumble game.
El Jibala.
Jibala?
Yes.
Jibala, maybe just in short, like for the people who don't know, like you have to have like 60 seconds of
actually Jibala is a science.
Please,
it's just it's a science. I developed an IT protocol, and it would be like 60 seconds of like running or doing like high intensity exercises, and then 75 seconds of rest. All this for 8 to 12 rounds, something like this. But of course, I just changed it a little bit to make it like more parkour specific. And
but you know, in those 60 seconds, you know, we could do whatever we want. And if my mind is for going whatever, I go whatever. You know.
Yes.
But what do you think about? Do you think at some kind people have to a more guided way, where they really have to learn how to learn a precision jump and really have to be guided, more structured, less autonomy, and okay, now we do drops, and now we you know, like if I always can choose what I want to do, I don't leave my comfort zone, you know, like because I have so many weaknesses, you know, in my training. Like I can't roll properly. My one leg takeoff is shit, you know. Like I have so many weaknesses. If I always train in my comfort zone, you know, I won't progress. Like someone's it's good. Like someone tells you, okay, today we do rolling, and you say, no, not rolling. Yeah, or no, it's raining. Oh, not raining. You know, like how do you do it in your trainings? Like on the one side, the autonomy thing. And does it need this kind of guidance or
Okay, so basically this is very much related to the concept of limitations, and of course it's very much related to the age of training, like training age of the practitioner. Yeah. So for example, the classes from today, it was an advanced class. I mean, people in there were training for like 4 years, 4 years plus. So they all know that it's still not my responsibility to push them. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna do this, but I will. Whenever I do this, I remind them that it's like they are doing this for them. It's like I don't need to push you. Like there is no reason anymore. Yeah. We already did this first. Yes, but
so you do this in some point, like pushing people.
Like in the beginning. Yeah. Like of course, the trainings are much more structured and they are much more. They have more limitations and like the style of coaching is extremely fixed and. There is not much bullshit like going around. Like they need to. Okay, now today we train. Yeah. We need to know how to jump off shit, or we need to know how to climb a wall, or we need to you know to develop this basically. Or we need to know how to roll. But then, as we progress, like the quantitative training is again. I think I was saying this before. It's overrated in like these days, and. It should transform into something more qualitative, and with qualitative I mean it's something that comes from you, and where the coach acts as a facilitator, and it doesn't. Yeah, it's not anymore about learning the single technique or the single, but it's adding instead of you know, like. Working things around always the same stuff, but so to answer your question, I would say it really depends, as you can imagine.
So if the participant is younger from his training age, then he needs maybe more structure or guidance. Yes, and then if it evolves, then
yes, because otherwise you would create an hybrid, like an abominus. I have no idea. It's like those crazy people that train for like 10 years and then they cannot climb up a wall. For me, it's like I wouldn't say like it's no. I would say it like it's, for me it's terrible, because like they just spend time doing stuff that they might not be ready for. Like. Even if I believe, like in what you were saying, what we were saying before, that it's more important to strive for autonomy than just developing strength. Yeah, or the basic things. Or whatever, the basic things should be there. Like we are doing parkour, we are not swimming or doing other stuff. Like in practice, it's still very important what you can do, like how strong you are, etc. So like also you started squatting and this and that, and adding stuff to your training. Maybe because of this, like I did the same. I started adding like strength training in order to develop myself on that basic layer that is parkour, and then we can move on into other stuff. So it's, with my students, I want this to be the same. If I want to take them through a process, so which is much more structured in the beginning and then opens up. Still, like it opens up into branches. It's like a tree. It doesn't open up in the free spaces.
I know.
You know, and that's it. And I just want to make sure it doesn't. I don't pass on the concept that you should. Train every time like qualitative and random and just by feeling. Feeling is something that it's nice and it's interesting when you have developed what it means to have that feeling. You know, like now I have the conscience of what I've done, what I am, why I'm doing this and that, and then I can start choosing.
Like, for how long do you coach people in parkour?
It would be 5-6 years.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to me. How does your coaching evolved? What your cat hairs?
Maybe.
Yeah, no, it's a cat hair. How does your coaching changed? Do you have some benchmarks, or can you, if you look back now, what was different in the beginning?
For me, this is it's very hard now to quantify it, because I think it comes from something very subtle and detailed. Like it would be like, for me, like growing as a coach, it was like a little bit like growing when I was from when I was a kid to what I am now. Like I can recall certain things that happened and made me grow, but when you are growing, you don't realize. Like, you know.
Yeah, that's why you reflect and you look back. And
because like, like my hand is like that big, and then 10 years later you have your hands like this, but in between you were not realizing, because we cannot get like such subtle things. But
maybe I will give you a personal answer. Like for me, in the beginning, I was really like, I didn't know how to trust my participants, so I did everything pretty safe, you know, and then I always spotted them, and then, you know, made everything safe. But then later on, now I trust even new people I don't know good. I see, okay, they can run and they can move, and they should make their own mistakes. And now I really trust them more, so I'm more confident in them, you know, and I give them more space now. But this took me some time. Maybe you have some similar experiences.
Yeah, no, actually, more than like this is for sure.
Yeah.
But another thing which is more related to like me as a coach is that in the beginning I wanted to give everything I had. But like, okay, you come into my class. I really want to tell you everything. Why don't you understand everything I want to give you? Like, you know. And then this feeling slowly, like for me, this is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And if you start seeing people that coach for like, that I know they just started, or they've been coaching for like two years or so, or they never digged into it. They do this. You will see them from the outside that they're schizophrenic. They want to give you too many info. You cannot digest them. You cannot eat them all. Like we have a certain attention span. And
then it's
we cannot retain like the information. They will just get lost. So they jump in one constant stage and the tempo. So what I'm trying to do now, it's much more of a synthetic approach.
What do you mean by this?
Synthetic and no, maybe not. It's not synthetic. Sorry, it's like a false friend in Italian. It's synthetico. Like synthesis. Like my approach is a synthesis of what
it's growing together.
No. It's like it's a wrap up of many things. And from there I pick up just a couple of things, and
Yes.
I make sure that they get in. You know.
So not too much, but some.
Yes, some stuff, because
Like
I noticed it
getting
myself when I go out.
Yeah.
I notice myself. I throw in some stuff, and people from that like seed they grow amazing things. And if I give like too many seeds, it's like as if there was not enough earth to have these things grow.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
really
like-
that's really a good
Yeah.
example. Yeah.
Yeah, so if I would say something that has changed for me in my coaching, is this thing, is it's the capacity, and the more
Okay,
you,
I
you
really
move
understand,
on,
yeah.
like the more you move on in this process, the more you see that the best coaches like tell you a couple of things, and you feel like you are learning a lot of stuff, and maybe you look back and it just told me like a couple of things where like the more like the younger coach told you like
Everything,
tons of information, and you're like, fuck, I know everything, you know. But then you go home and you don't remember anything,
Yeah.
and you're gone even without the sensation that you did something useful.
Yeah.
Like you had a good session, but what was it?
Yeah.
And I think as in a representation, it's always the coach that needs to make sure that the person understood what he wanted to or she wanted to pass on.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. Yes.
I don't think it's the problem of the student. It's never the problem of the
Okay.
students.
It's a responsibility of the coach.
And most of the times, people wanted to have me believe, like in schools and stuff, that it was my problem that I couldn't understand some stuff. But then, as I moved on and I met better coaches, better teachers, I was like, so this is how it should be done.
So, what would you advise, like your teachers back in the days? What would you advise them? Or the question a little bit different. What would you advise, like a parkour coach? He's young, maybe did some classes for 1 year. What would you give him on his way to become a better coach?
Yes,
or a better teacher?
Yes. So for me, it would be to go out and look at as many teachers and coaches that they can.
Yeah, it's true.
Because like teaching and developing on your own, it's like
it's so
this
hard,
big.
yeah.
No, it's this big. It's like, and if we come together and we meet in 100 coaches, this becomes like this big, and then you grab this new bowl and you move on into another.
So basically to get in exchange and travel the world, get new cultures, get new parkour styles.
And and most of the times also, I would suggest like also to go to like professional. To seek the help of professionals that are doing this as a job. Like for example, I don't know if you are in Germany, you do trust, or you are here, you do adapt, or you follow also some other leads that or tracks that other people left, so that you can develop, because most of these systems have inside a process, like a rational process of development as a coach. So you go in these processes, you go out and you travel the world and you meet a lot of people, and then you make sure you understand that you have to be the best you can be in that moment, not like in 5 years or in 5 years before this, but in that moment, because that's what like I have this concept from my uni. We're talking about the evidence-based practice, and just not gonna start all this topic, but or the evidence-based coach. It's like you get all the info you can in that moment, and from there you develop, and you are sure 100% that tomorrow you will be better than yesterday, and so on, because you are always updated and always striving for the best. And then if you are doing this, man, I think you're doing the best thing you can. Yeah. You cannot be better than this. Because like like many people are like, I'm still like in 10 years I will be the best. Yes, maybe, but you have to work on the things that you have, not on the things that you don't have.
Your brother, I talked with him today in the car, and he doesn't like to coach in parkour.
Mhm.
Maybe this will change, but do you think it's okay to coach in parkour? Because I had this question in my mind as well before I started. Do you think it's okay to coach?
Yeah, I would say it would be interesting to hear why not. For me, it's very strange.
You will have to look between two walls with your brother. What I
Yes,
reckon
exactly.
tomorrow.
Exactly.
So
I
why
the first view is mine.
No, so for you it's totally fine to.
Yes, totally, 100%. Like
So
me,
did
it's
you
fine.
learn? So did you did you have a teacher?
Yeah,
Where
I
did
had
you learn?
so many.
Yeah.
I had so many. I had teachers every single moment of my life. Since I screamed, like I came out, I was I started looking at my mom. She was my first teacher. I'm sure of this. We always are like this because that's the power of humanity.
Yeah.
That we are not a single person.
Yeah. So
And I
We are-
understand anyway the idea that you.
I like
have-
your approach. Yes.
Yeah, no, like I think it might be a misunderstanding of just like the coaching process, because a coach is not somebody that is filling no
Yeah.
that bottle or that cup.
Yeah.
He's just a person that is helping you restructure. So why not having somebody helping you?
Yeah.
That's very that you come up living probably a stressful life, because like if you want to do stuff only with yourself, without the help of others, I think you will get crazy after a while. Like try and stand in an empty room on your own. You go crazy. No, but of course, like yes, coaching doesn't necessarily have to be something extremely structured. Coaching can be everything. Like, and we can always learn from any kind of experience or a person that we meet
like,
out in the street. Like a teacher or like the master of the temple. It doesn't have
or just
like,
a cat, you know, like
not like everything. Like they don't have like the label master in their
Yeah.
forehead. So that's why like it would be really nice. Like okay, now I want to leave. No, but so most of the people I've learned from, they were like, they didn't look to me as like masters every time.
Yeah.
You know, maybe there is this guy out in the street.
Yeah.
And he will be telling me, like, there's this guy in front of the supermarket. Every time I go there, I meet him and we talk a little bit here and there. And he's one of the best teacher I have in for the happiness in life.
Yes.
He's like, how's it going today? Yeah, I mean, just a little bit like yesterday, maybe chilling, relaxing. I mean, this guy's from Africa. He doesn't care, like anything. He doesn't have anything.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. He just enjoys his existence.
Yeah.
You know, so like, I think we can learn from this and that. And it's the same. Like with coaching in parkour, follows a similar path. Like if you have it go towards. Like you have your student go towards autonomy and towards like developing themselves, then it's perfect. If we are talking about a coaching that is so structured that bounds the student with your will, that's the dark side. But we need like, I mean, everybody.
Do you see it somewhere?
Yeah,
like,
I have seen this around in some communities and stuff where I've been. I can see this. I don't know why, if it's for the ego of the teacher or stuff like this.
And that's what I told you about the jungle wave. It's not about the teacher. It's about the method. You know, it's what I experienced.
Yeah, I want to try. I remembered listening to Andrea Ospina talking about this in functional range conditioning workshop, and it was.
I've heard from him. Yeah, what did you say?
Yeah, and but anyway,
I can remember,
he was talking about this, that he's just developing, not his method, is his way. Now you know you're doing Andrea Ospina, but you're using his principles and stuff to develop your own, and he's just a collector. It's just a collector of material, and he reorganizes it, and that's it.
I think one really important thing also is if we talk about whether it's okay to teach parkour as a coach, I would absolutely agree that it's more than okay. And obviously parkour is a movement practice where many people won't seek a coach. So it's a choice of the people also to just go out in the streets, maybe with their friends, and try things out. But
I think this will change.
Yeah, maybe, yes, definitely, because there will be more coaches digging more deeper, maybe into the stuff. But the most important point here is, I think, again, that there will be always people also seeking coaches or seeking guidance, because they might think, okay, I won't get to the answers on myself. But in the end, I think it's more about not the answers, but about the questions. Because they might have many questions, but we as coaches, we can show them let's say the right questions, and they have to answer them for themselves.
Guide to Galaxy.
Exactly.
Develop.
But we've been talking about tools. We give them the tools, but we can't use them for themselves. So they have to basically get to know how to use the tools.
Yeah,
you see.
Or how to develop their own tools. Like
even better.
That's for me important. Like, this is the autonomy way. Like, I can give them the fork or the hammer, but for me it's like, okay, like I have my fork in parkour, my workplace, and I can't copy that. Everyone has to build their own stuff, and how to build that, like it depends on the materials he got in his past, in his body, in his future, like. So everyone has to build his own, tracer, Like,
of course. Yeah. And I want to say one more thing. I forgot now. It was about when I look at big topics like coaching, for example, or similar stuff, I try and ask myself if this is this can add something to the practice or not.
Yeah.
And if it can add something, like in my mind,
like it's a value or
if it adds something, then inside me I go, okay, so I will either look into it or support it or try to understand it much better. And like, for example, if you want to understand whether you like coaching or not, you need to practice it a lot.
Definitely,
A lot.
I think this is one main advice for new coaches.
Yeah.
You have to make mistakes like in parkour, and you have to coach. You have
to make a lot of mistakes. You cannot skip this.
No. So what kind of stuff are you discovering right now as a coach? Like, where are you? You talked about this different branches. What are you looking? What are you learning right now?
Okay, so
what are you working on, or what are you discovering and learning from?
Yeah, so at the moment I am in an extremely creative moment. Like, with creative, I mean creational moment, where I'm trying to go out of my shell and try and learn from so many other disciplines, and to then like picks the best thing that I feel like they can be extremely useful for me, and then take them back.
Yeah, I kind of remember that when we've been in Gallo 2 years ago, you really were passionate. You, Gato, Ricardo, you were passionate about this dancing stuff, and I was so exhausted and sitting on the side, and you were doing this dance choreography, and you really...
Yes, I feel like for example, that topic, like, because for example in parkour, like movement efficiency has been doing a lot, and like basic training a lot, strength training a little, and yes, I stop here. And then for example, like demonstrations and exhibitions a little bit less, etc., etc. Like, because people just try to improvise they try to improvise being like professionals in these fields, where actually the real professionals are doing like much different stuff. And it's okay to like improvise when you are learning, etc., etc., but not when you have like an end product that you developed in a certain amount of time. Like, for example, for me, when I see exhibitions or demonstrations and stuff, I see the monkey jumping around, and for me there is nothing beautiful about it.
Yeah.
Because it's just showing off.
Yeah.
Some stuff that you have, and the people that have no idea of what's happening, they're like, oh, fascinating. But actually,
so did I get you right? You want to feel the learning process in yourself, or
no, just one last thing. For example, always in the demonstrations, I think you can go into a deeper layer and pass on also to the public that is not necessarily active as a practitioner, something that he or she can take home and can learn from that experience. Something shocking or something new or something curious.
Can you make an example for me?
Yeah, for example,
make it more concrete.
Yeah, it's hard because every time it would be different. But for example, I don't know, you would tell a story, because of course, like if you tell a story, people understand where you want to go. And like our world is based on stories, and you want to tell, for example, the story of how you deal with fear from the very beginning to, I don't know, until you start understanding what it means to use it, to abuse it, what happens if you get hurt, or this, and take it and create a spectacle, like a show.
Yeah.
And doing something like this, for me, it's 100% an original and genuine thing, and people can benefit out of this. People jumping, I don't think so. You know? So
it's interesting because, like also on the Jungle Wave, I somehow heard you don't like parkour shows or like to show off. Or what's your opinion on this, or your ParkourWave opinion on this?
ParkourWave like for most of the stuff I talk for myself.
Yeah,
but now I can really talk about in something that is shared among us, which is this, like, shows in parkour, unless they add something, as coaching for example, they are useless. So they're just we did it for bananas sometimes, but it's not. It doesn't add.
So it doesn't add something to the culture, to the movement, or to parkour.
Nothing.
Okay, so it's kind of an
or less. Sometimes it regresses. Yeah. This because like the media tend to like shrimp everything to nothing, and I don't really.
Yeah, I totally understand, and
Okay, so still, I wouldn't judge like extremely badly people that do this kind of stuff. Like for example, it was just physical, but it was very intense and interesting for me to watch like the show in Garlev with the guys doing that. It was really amusing. Yeah. And in the end of it, you're like, wow, they managed to keep their focus and to do all the difficult movements and stuff in front of so many people, like with so much pressure. And it's something and what I have appreciated is that it's a real situation. They did something very hard, and it's a real situation to put a show like this.
They have to be on point, and
yes, but for example, I didn't understand what they wanted to say. Yeah, maybe they wanted to say something, but I didn't understand. Yeah. So maybe they should have told me a little bit better or this and that.
But the story wasn't told pretty good, just through.
Yeah, no, like I wasn't able to understand it 100%.
Yeah, the message was not going through.
Yeah. But still, like visually, and the things that they were doing, it was amazing, man. I was really, really shocked.
Yeah.
Even if I am a practitioner and stuff, I was like, what they're doing is really nice. But if they moved on into making with somebody talking, or they gave us some concepts before, or they called it in a certain way that you can relate to. For example, it's a show for practitioners, and you tell them this story is about death.
Yeah, okay.
What? So
let's make a combination
the whole or this story it's about
I like
growth.
I like this mindset. Or
it doesn't necessarily have to be, and then you really want to give people your perspective about something, or
through movement, or
to give or to give or to develop curiosity. I know it's harder and it's more close to theater already.
It's so awesome because you just combined those two mottos, like about death or about growing or whatever. In my mind, I really a story. It's really
exactly.
I like the idea. Yeah.
Exactly. So with ParkourWave, we decided not to do it, because we said, okay, now we are focusing on coaching. We are focusing on developing. For example, now we are doing adapt and all the stuff. Yeah. We are doing a lot of classes. We are doing workshops around, and I prefer to do this at the moment. But still, this year I started to work much more after Ido or Tom Wexler. I went here and or Shai Farhan.
Yeah.
I started to integrate some of the concepts I've learned from them and into like parkour practice, and then maybe from this concept I will move on into a proper show or something.
Yeah, maybe
it's a possibility, but for sure if there is one thing that I can tell you, if I will ever do a show, we will ever do a show, it won't be like people jumping around. It will add something. But this is I just want to tell that this is our like personal perspective, and I don't have anything against people doing this. Unless of course they are doing it in a like non-ethical ways or similar stuff, like some strange beverages that I want to talk about, like definitely bullshit.
And so what about you? In the beginning you said, oh no, let's don't talk about competition, but what's your opinion on competition?
No.
So does it add something to parkour?
Yeah, in my opinion, it doesn't, and for me, it's one of the root of like the very evil of any sport, because.
Please tell.
But like the main thing is more than competition, like structured competitions. Then I will go back into competitions themselves. But before saying like it's not good to compete for me and him, etc., I would say that like the main problem with them is that then everything is moved by money. Everything will be moved by money. So I would train because I want to get better than everyone, and I will go there and I will only train to maximize my performance. I won't care about anything else. Don't tell me it won't happen, because it will happen for sure. If I want to, if they're gonna give me 1 million euros to win the national competition of parkour in Italy, I will fucking train like a beast or like a dragon. If I have just started, then if they ask me how you want to go, I would say I don't care. I don't want to join this.
Like Ninja Warrior.
Yeah,
it's already happening. Like you can win the 100,000 euros.
Exactly. We didn't join in this madness, and a lot of people get dragged in, etc., etc. And I think it's just you don't need it. You don't need it, and it will shift your the focus. The focus
I can totally agree.
To all the extent.
Yeah, it's like a poison, or like.
Yes, you will never get back, and you will never get this feeling. And plus, I will tell you more, of course. We are in 10 people. We try that, and only 1 people can succeed.
Yeah.
And everybody trained for like 4 years, 5 years, 6, 10,
9 people
12,
are losing.
15. Yeah. Yes, 9 people are losing, and those 9 people, after so many years running after the same rabbit and not catching the fucking rabbit, and they won't be able to, they will stop.
Yeah.
They will drop out, and so we start. So, but the next time they don't want to stop. So what they do, doping. Okay. So then they don't want to. They still can't win.
Yeah.
So what do? I have no other options. I go to sponsorships, and I don't care anymore who is sponsorship.
And it's kind of like the shift from this intrinsic motivation to this extrinsic motivation.
Exactly.
No?
Exactly.
Like I want the money, the fame,
Exactly.
the YouTube clicks or whatever, like, because it's happening in some kind. Like people get addicted to those clicks and to money,
exactly.
you know.
And of course, and I was criticized sometimes by people like telling me, no, but now you're doing a lot of this, showing a lot, a lot of clips and stuff. You are doing nothing but filming. If they only knew, there is just like 1% of my day.
Tip of the iceberg.
And the tip of the iceberg. And I always want to, but I keep doing it, and I will always keep doing this because it will get people inspired, more curious. I will pass through some concepts that I want
it's
to
so
do.
good to hear, man.
You know, and
so
it's just exposing the bit that I want to show. It's of course that's not my training. It's like as you can see Blaine. I was talking with him sometimes about like how training is evolving and this and that. You know, and people look at his clips now and they say, "Oh, but Blaine is only squatting."
Yeah. What he's showing you.
What are you saying? I mean, do you really believe like the only thing that you see in the video is everything that is happening in somebody's life?
Yeah.
It's like, where are you living inside your computer? Like, it's very weird. It's very weird. And
many people are really living in their computers, and
this is the problem.
in this parkour digital world.
Exactly.
Like
so
Instagram.
For me, what I film is usually the least important thing. It's the last important thing, because when I'm doing stuff that I really.
I just checked the camera, I guess. Yeah, but it's still recording.
when I'm doing stuff that I really enjoy and I genuinely get dragged into, I don't film it.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, you will end up with a lot of clips of you like doing pull-ups. or this or climb up on walls and stuff, because it's actually the moment where you can like place your camera and show some of the things that you are doing. So of course like in order to go past this point, it would be nice to always have somebody filming you.
Yeah.
But then that guy should be really good at like following you and like, showing the good parts, but it's hard, and unless you're doing it professionally with a professional following you, it's hard. I'm seeing this because like I have the fortune to have Rafael Najar, Rafa, down here, and he's a filmmaker and everything, and sometimes of course like paid and for like he's doing videos for ParkourWave on this and that. And he's really able to like catch the essence of what we are doing. But if I try to do this, like I just stick the GoPro and like in my shoe and I try to, it wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
Because like in the end it's a world of fiction. What you
definitely.
What
it's not real.
It's not real. It's what you film. So it's you always also have to be good at like showing what you want to show.
Telling a story.
Telling a story. This advice was an advice that I got from Dan Kleder, an academic, which is like the director of my course in London, and it was always like telling me, Marcello, you need to tell a good story, and if you tell a good story, you can be talking about anything. And so I started like making up a lot of stories, and I always practice this also in the coaching and also in my practice, etc.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. For example, now, what if I told you there is No, there is, because there is, like, I'll just say, okay, let's say, there is this, the mission of the frog, you know, and it's a really long route. It takes us about 2 hours and a half to complete, and it's full of challenges. You will have 5 challenges throughout the route, and we need to go and complete it. But at certain points we will have to split, and we will have to synchronize our watches and stuff, and it will be really hard, etc., etc. And we can go on, and this is actually true. I have something like this here, and I have been doing this with some friends and stuff. But this is a great way to develop, because you are so immersed in what you're doing that you really live what you do. And I love this, because I see people that forget about this beautiful world of stories and qualitative stuff.
Yeah.
You know, because like suddenly strength training becomes, you go in the fucking gym and you lift the weight, and then you come back home and you watch TV and you die asleep and start over. And why do you have to make it so boring? You know, even in strength training you can make up stories, you can create stuff, and it doesn't necessarily have to be fun or have to give you joy every time, but there should be like another frame you can navigate into.
But if you made up stories, if you plan your trainings, how do you plan your trainings? How do you get new ideas? How?
Yeah,
basically, you know, you gave me one answer, like you dig different branches and collect stuff. But how do you plan your trainings? How do you become so avant-garde?
Yeah, so
where do you get your ideas?
I would say for me it's like a summative process, and it comes from, as I was saying, like picking experiences here and there, and like really living your body, living your existence. And it cannot be done behind the computer. It cannot be done in always the same city.
Yeah.
Like you guys are here. Yeah. You will go back a little bit more enriched.
Definitely.
And yeah. So and if you do this more and more and more, one day when you're looking for a question, for example, like everything suddenly goes. And you have no idea where this comes from. It's the principle of like 1 + 1 is 2, but like 1 + 1 + 1 is 10. You don't know. And for me, this is when I found out about this, it was very liberating, because I stopped like looking for the best answer, the way that it has to be. I will go to this teacher, I will give me I will read the book, and finally we get, you know, the enlightenment.
Knowledge is going to hit me,
Yes, so it's like you do 1 + 1 + 1, and then you find out that you have 100, and it doesn't follow a mathematical rule.
I know exactly what you mean. That's nice.
Okay,
beautiful.
Is there anything you want to talk about, or is there anything you want to share, or because
yes,
I have one more a little topic, or just I want to know your opinion on one thing, but maybe you have
just one more thing that I want to say for practitioners. Don't forget, like to start over doesn't mean to start everything over again. Like up to a certain extent, I always believe we need to go like 4 steps forward and like 2 backwards, and then 4 steps forward and 2 backwards. And with this rule in mind, we can go very far. I understand it's a little bit cryptical and absurd, but
I understand the symbol, but I can't right now. I can't transfer it.
Like for example, now you go into your researches and stuff, and then, but it's also good to go back to something more simple and enjoy like the what it means to be in that same original spot with the new understanding, and then you move on into something more complex, and then you come back to where you started.
I see. And then,
in order to always have this broader perspective of what's happening and what you're doing and why you're doing it, etc., etc. Because like many times I see people like that go and then they forget where they are, and from the outside the people that are in there are there, they don't have the premises to understand what you are doing, not what they're doing or where they're going, because you have lost the track that they might not have understood where you're coming from. So, and it's a little bit like this also with us. Like if I never come back to a point where I can look at what's happening, I lose the track. Even if it's something that I've been, because that's how our memory works anyway. Or maybe it's me. I'm just like a red fish. Like 10 seconds. Woo, new world. Wow. But I always need to come back and.
You know what it is in the end? It's also about orientation. If you want to have this metaphor, when you go into the woods or something, or you follow a path you don't know, you will explore new grounds, and you can sort of draw a map in your head only if you have the awareness and look around, you know. When I get to a cross point,
it's about the awareness.
I look to the left, I could go there. I look to the front, I could go there, or to the right. But what I really have to do also is look back and check where I came from, so that I have the orientation. Because if I will keep on going, I don't know where I'm going. You know what I mean? And you draw the map in your head in the end.
Exactly.
And then you can link everything together.
And this is something that we always have to do with our practices or life in general. Like go back, stop. Like I always had this feeling, like I don't know, like in Cologne, you know, like if it's like this, but I have seen this, for example, in London or other big cities, Berlin. Life is so frenetic. You feel like you're wasting time every time. Like I feel this. It's maybe because Padova is like much more relaxed, or if you go even more in the south. Like I see this, like people don't look back, don't stop, and don't start to appreciate sometimes some of the little things, and which is probably one of the most important. Like and I think there is like a taste of minimalism in this, and which is extremely beautiful, and it's like, you know, all the Japanese approach to things has touched some of us to a certain extent.
So you feel like in like Berlin or wherever, there's too much rush, and
there
it's
is
going
like
too
people
fast, and
a lot of people like get dragged into the river, and man, like you can step out of the river sometimes and like walk back and then again. I don't know, it's just a little thought, but for me it's something that is always present, and I make sure like this is probably the most logical, not logical, but the thing that I always make sure it's there for me. And it's not instinct. This is nothing, because my instinct would say go, run.
So it's more like your.
But where are we running? You know, like
I know.
After a while, you need to stop and look back and wait,
reflect.
Yes.
Think. Yeah.
And also look around you, what's happening and why it's happening.
Yeah, it's so funny because when I talk to some people about ParkourWave, and I tell them, these are those avant-garde guys, and they say, no, they do crazy stuff, and it's bullshit. But if in this perspective, you know, it's like, maybe you do some crazy stuff, but you're not lost. You know, you know where you are. Like you said, it's orientation, and from this point on, you can go further, or.
Yeah, of course, and
or just say, wrong direction. Let's go back to two steps back.
Exactly.
Like I understand,
and then
different way.
Still, what we show, it's a little part of the whole thing, and I mean, if somebody that is new to parkour would come to us, I would never ever show them anything that we are doing, like hide what like it's not, no.
I know what you mean now.
I would like hide everything like yes, we are doing climb-ups.
Yeah.
Like when the police comes by and you're like, yes, we are doing push-ups in the middle of the road with no t-shirt. It makes total sense.
I know what you
No,
mean.
but
I have one just little topic. I don't want to talk too much about it. But what do you think about training in parks or indoors versus outdoors?
yeah.
What's your opinion on this?
Yeah, it's
Because it's kind of coming, and
yeah. We have just finished like building a parkour park with ParkourWave. Well, we call it Parkour Playground.
yeah. Now I remember. Yeah, I saw the
Bergamo.
pictures. Yeah.
Yes.
What do you
Okay.
think about this?
Okay, so in my opinion, the big risk about parks is that people stop exploring their environment, of course.
Yeah.
And this is something that I would, for me, would be one of the worst thing, because parkour, as we were saying before, it comes from the exploration.
And you have to adapt and
To adapt to this and develop from there, and this bit of experience will shape you.
yeah.
There is
definitely.
nothing that can replace this.
Thank you.
So, for me, when I see people that only go into gyms or parkour playgrounds
Yeah.
or this kind of stuff, like they would, they only train there. They lose so much, but at the same time, it's a really nice place to be, to to explore new movements, because it's like extremely dense.
Yeah.
It's so dense that you can actually do anything it comes in your mind. And most of the times it has to do with bars, because like it's always full of bars, and outside is there are very little bars. But so I think that they can be a good tool, because of course then people from the outside, they can see the thing and they will go, interesting, so maybe today instead of going to the gym I will try and look at it, because it's a little bit closer to their perceptions.
I know.
So it fills the gap of going, okay, this wall, this is not a pipe like the drawing from the French artist. So you are still not able to see that the stair can be used in another way, but you can see that the park built for that reason can help you go towards that path. So in this sense it's very nice. In the other sense it's very dangerous.
If it's only if people only train in those parks, something must be lost. For me, I always say it's like if I do parkour outside, I have to adapt to my surroundings.
Sure.
If I build up a park or a gym, whatever, I adapt the surroundings
structure
to me.
So
it's not for me. I heard from Steven Kaiser, and he said it like 10 years ago, whatever.
Yes,
but it also depends on how the park is built, I guess. I mean,
of course.
In the end, what I do understand is that you might lose a creative vision of which part of your environment could inspire you to move. I understand this, but I don't think that a park would limit the possibilities of movement there. So, or that it dictates a certain
sure, but it's
pattern.
I don't know.
It would a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you are in a place where things are built for you to jump on. They are built for you to swing on. So maybe I will sit on it. I won't train. No, I don't know. But I mean, like a really good solution to these problems, etc. We've been talking with Mikkel Rugard about
from
this. But
Denmark.
Yeah, but also with like last year, and also like Riccardo Calli, Sayu from ParkourWave. Yes, and basically a solution could be like to integrate a park, like strange structures, into, like, I don't know, like bigger grounds that have other purposes. For example, you build up a new area where there is, the bar and the toilets and this and that, and in between there is just strange stuff.
Yes.
And people can use this, but the same I don't know, bench that or the same object that a person can use as a bench is the same object that we can jump on, for example.
I know.
And so in this view, it would be more interesting. It would be open. It would be.
Yeah.
It would.
For me, it's really a pain in the ass if I see a parkour park and I see this is someone thought here now you can do the arm jump, now you can do the cat pass. It's really no, please. I also want to be confused, and say I don't know what I should do here, and kids should go to really small kids should go to this place and just start playing. Just I can go here, and then maybe this is what I most likely can live with. But with this, there's so many parks in Denmark. They're so obvious, and people definitely they do crazy creative stuff there. Definitely, they go insane what they do on this stuff.
Yeah.
But I
sometimes I talked with some of them and they say yes. No, so now it's winter. Like we don't train now. It's time to stay indoor, and then it's summer and it's time to go out. But actually, where you go out, like you go out in the parkour parks because it's amazing. Like you can do a lot of stuff, so much stuff. But it's dangerous because it strips away a big part. For example, now Martin Kalles is doing Explore Copenhagen, and all of them. Like I think I really love street movement guys. They're doing a really good job in what they do, and he's doing. They're always striving to make their students understand the roots of parkour and all these things that we are scared that might be lost.
Yeah.
But still, like with a lot of and I also understand that like building, in my opinion, like building so many situations where people can actually be involved to move or inspired to move. It's not bad.
I can really see this point.
But this is a luxury. They say it in their website.
Yeah.
Like parkour architecture, and it's a luxury for people to get inspired to move on to it, and it's not a necessity. It's not a bare necessity, and I really I understand this. Still, like I wouldn't be like with time I became less like strict about these things, but like because I can see, for example,
hardliner, less
like CrossFit for me, like oh my god, like if every CrossFitter started to understand what parkour is about, they would go crazy and stop doing CrossFit, like straight away. But like most of the people cannot taste parkour because it's too far, like from the fitness approach. So what CrossFit did now, it's like they are filling the gap between like just I don't know, bodybuilding to some other fitness layers, and then CrossFit, and now Ido is bringing in the movement stuff, and so the fitness guys are going into the movement and like the movement culture, and then the movement culture will develop in something else here from and there, from there. So with Parkourparks, it can be something similar. Like I saw the other day we went to, because we had to take some preliminary pictures and stuff for the playground before it's because there will be like a big opening, and before that, like I saw some guys like getting in there like to do pull-ups. But like guys that were at the park doing nothing, like relaxing, chilling, and I thought like, think about these guys. I would go there and they wouldn't anyway. Like they wouldn't do the same on a on a tree.
Yeah.
No.
Definitely they wouldn't.
No.
Because they see a bar, they see that there is something structures, and they see a lot of people like training parkour. So they might get interested, and they might ask, and then they might come to us, and they will start their process. You know,
Okay, so you think it's So you think this is the benefit? Like more people will get, just a little tiny percentage will get into parkour, or get a broader vision of what they can do with their body, with whatever.
Yeah, exactly. For me, I always want to look at the two coins, as we're saying. Like I can see a lot of bad things that can happen, but I can see a lot of good things that can happen. And if the balance is at least even, then let's do it. I think. And
okay, I will think about this. Yeah, I don't know.
But because at the end of the day, you cannot really predict 100%. Yes, how this would reflect
how it will turn out.
Yeah.
Also.
Yes.
How would you know?
Yeah, this is kind of one of my last questions. Like, what is parkour in? Tell me a number. In how many years?
20?
What's parkour in 20 years? And the other question is, what are you doing in 20 years?
Okay. So parkour in 20 years. I think
It's the year 2037.
37.
What's happening?
37. So what's happening in parkour? So I would say communities as we know them today will still be there. There will be a lot more structured stuff, and it will be recognized in many more countries, and it will I'm choosing no, but it will be recognized in many more countries, and it will be inserted for sure in a lot of like educational processes in schools.
Like
and
now
stuff.
it is.
Yes, like but it even in more and more, and it will become like a huge phenomena as it is already, but
even more, yeah.
Even more, definitely. I'm scared that they will start like doing many more structured competitions and stuff, and a lot more money will get into this, into the way. Still, there will be a lot of resistance training, like from so many people, like us too, like, and fighting in order to keep this
the real.
I wouldn't say like original or real or this. It's just making sure that the basics are there, like making sure that the fire that unifies us all is there, and that the people are still training because they want it for themselves, you know, and so.
Yeah, I totally can agree with this.
Yeah, so maybe it's a romantic approach, but
yeah, that's what I feel, and I want to preserve. And
yeah, maybe it's a romantic approach, but I really feel like it will be something like this. And what else? What I will be doing?
What do you think?
Yeah.
What I do think in 20 years, what will happen? Well, it's a very tough question, I believe. We've been talking about it a little bit, Philipp, I can remember. And I do see the growth of parkour. I do see it, definitely. So it's, I think, a little more like Marcello. Also because the kids are asking for it. The new generations to come, they are all asking for it because they... I don't know. I guess they might see more of those videos, and we've seen just.
But isn't for them just parkour just one hype, and then the next thing is like trampoline jumping, and the next hype will be hoverboarding or whatever. Isn't it just one hype?
Maybe, I'm not sure, but the thing is, where also the teachers at school basically see the potential in parkour. It will be taught. So, and I would be happy
it is getting taught. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's getting much more. I don't think that the kids in, I don't know, 20 years will say, oh, I don't know, parkour, I'm not interested in this. I don't think so. I think it will get bigger, definitely, and it will get more known. And since it will get more known, the people will be more curious. And there will be people still saying, it's too dangerous for me, or whatever. But there will also be other people who say, "Wow, this is elegance. This is beautiful. I want to."
Yeah, I mean, in order to predict stuff, you need to look at the trends. You know, so I agree. Like it's possible, it will just boom.
Yeah.
But it's also possible that it will just boom, because like if you look at the trend, I don't think there is any discipline that went even close to the development that parkour had.
That's,
like if you look at any other discipline,
I think there are similar things like skateboarding. I think parkour is just in this short amount of time.
Yes, but
because I think it's so less equipment.
Yeah, exactly.
And people can everywhere around the world. They just need internet. Parkour, and the seed is getting, and then in Russia, parkour trees are grown. You know, like everywhere. You don't need even shoes.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. That's why I mean it's getting back to the basis.
Yeah.
And it's getting back to who we are and what we are like made for in our bodies, and so I think it will be like also like movement and similar stuff will be great, will become like big phenomenon, but parkour, I think it will keep growing.
Okay. Yeah. So, and what are you going to do in 20 years?
Okay, so 2 options. So the first option is I'll keep doing like workshops, and I will be around the world teaching, and a little bit as I'm doing now, but my plan is to build something that can also give work to many more people, to much more people, and I want to organize and lead the way for others, as we're now doing.
What you're doing right now,
Yeah, but to a bigger extent.
Yeah.
And this would make me really happy, like to be able to make a difference and to pass on something to a lot of people, and being able
to have kind of a mission and to
to
make the world a better place a little bit.
Yeah, like
to enrich in the world, or
to enrich, and definitely a lot of people,
because parkour is a positive thing.
Definitely it is. I was just thinking like the whole world is a big thing, but a little part of it, definitely. And then the other thing is, or I will be lost like in some forest, like black forest with Ariana, or now with Ariana and my cat, and maybe some kids, and like lost completely, like from everything. But I don't know, like the hermit way might be too easy.
Yeah. To just unplug the.
I know, but still, it's a voice.
Yeah.
The animal scholar.
Yeah.
I think I will try to keep the balance between the two.
Yeah.
But if one will really have to win, it will be the animal.
Nice.
My friend.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My friend.
And
so thank you very much. I really enjoyed this conversation.
It's really honor to get this interview. It's really nice.
So you have the last words. What do you want to say? Camera is rolling.
Okay, train hard and safe. The last words, like Jesus Christ.
The last words for.
Yes. No.
Do you have a story?
So maybe sorry. No. Let's do it again. Like maybe in 2 years, and let's
Yes.
see what happens.
I really would like to.
Or maybe in 20.
Maybe in 20.
We can do it all the 2 years.
Yeah,
and then 20 years
maybe
we look
maybe 20 years.
what
a little
happened
bit
with
too much.
parkour.
Let's see who got closer. We can bet. No,
we won't find you because you were in the woods. So.
maybe.
We can make the competition whose vision of parkour in 20 years is closer.
Oh no.
No.
No, it's so good.
Okay, my friends. Now I push the